League of Women Voters of the Charleston area is sponsoring this virtual candidate forum for the Charleston County Sheriff Republican primary election. Kara Erickson of the League is our communications team, and she's our Zoom host on tonight's forum. We do have an observer. If you will continue to keep your microphone muted and your camera off, we appreciate it. The forum is being recorded, and it will be uploaded onto the League's website so that your voters can view it later. The League's website is lwvcharleston.org. My name is Judy Pepper. I'm the Vice President of Administration for the League and the moderator for tonight's candidate forum. The forum format is as follows. Candidates will have a 60-second opening and closing statement and 90 seconds to answer the question. Karen Healy is our timekeeper. Karen, there you go. She's showing you signs right there. As each candidate is speaking, Karen will hold up a sign that states 30 seconds remaining and then a stop sign when you need to stop talking. The candidate forum is not a debate. It's an opportunity for you to share your platform with the community. Candidates, please make sure that you don't have any campaign literature on your screen because we are a nonpartisan group. Therefore, this candidate forum is nonpartisan. On June 11th, 2024, Charleston County voters will choose a Republican candidate to run in the general election against the incumbent sheriff. Only voters in Charleston County who choose to vote in the Republican primary election will be able to vote in the primary election on June 11th. I encourage voters to visit the Leagues of Women Voters vote411.org website to view information on the candidates tonight and any other candidate running in any other primaries. And please keep checking back on vote411.org as the candidate information is added throughout the election season. In alphabetical order, these are the Republican candidates for Charleston County Sheriff that are in attendance tonight. Rocky Burke and Greg Kitchens. Mr. Keys, Rick Keys, and Carl Ritchie had scheduling conflicts. So let me briefly go over the forum format. Candidates will respond to questions in rotating alphabetical order by the last name. For example, if the candidate opening statement will be Rocky Burke first and then Mr. Kitchens. We will proceed in rotating order throughout the questions, and the closing statements will be in reverse alphabetical order. I will not ask either one of you a question that is directed to only one or of a personal nature. So let's refresh a little bit. Each candidate will have 60 seconds to make an opening and closing statement. Candidates have 90 seconds to respond to the questions. A candidate may take an additional 60 seconds for a rebuttal after the other candidate has responded. A rebuttal is an opening or opposing argument or a contradiction to what the opposing candidate has said. If you wish to make a rebuttal, please just raise your hand and I will view that and turn to you as soon as I see the question, the hand raised. We ask that candidates use closing statements to summarize the issues that we have already discussed and their vision for the position that they seek. So before we begin asking you, Mr. Burke, and you, Mr. Kitchens, any questions, it's customary that the League allows candidates who cannot attend to send a statement. I will read a statement from Rick Keys and then Carl Ritchie. This is a statement from Mr. Rick Keys. To the League of Women Voters, and my platform is simple. My 35 years with the most active police agency in South Carolina has afforded me years of experience. Being a supervisor since 1998 with North Charleston Police, I have learned what works and what doesn't. That experience gives me the ability to bring the change needed to the sheriff office. That is why I have a great group of men and women ready to join me. I know with all my heart that I can bring that change. That is why I decided to run for the sheriff. Thank you, Rick Keys. Now from Mr. Ritchie. Dear members of the League of Women Voters, I appreciate the opportunity to participate in the Sheriff's Candidate Forum and had full intent to do so. Unfortunately, my duties as an elected town council member from Mount Pleasant have conflicted with tonight's forum. I needed to be at council meeting tonight for the final budget vote and is in direct support of our public safety department, which I'm committing to supporting. For over 40 years, I have built trust among all that I have served and have maintained relationships through the many changes we have seen in public safety and law enforcement. My experience, education, and training are current, relevant, and without a long break in service that makes me the best candidate to be able to make an immediate positive impact and professionally serve the residents of Charleston County in a manner they expect and deserve. I pledge to serve with integrity, honor, respect, and work closely with our municipal, state, and federal partners. I pledge to utilize proactive and community policing in unincorporated Charleston County through consistent and data-driven staffing with a commitment to addressing specific public safety concerns of residents. I pledge to keep our students, teachers, and schools safe, building upon my previous work of implementing the first formal school safety plan in Charleston County. I pledge to operate a safe and secure jail. I pledge to prioritize mental health care and address mental health care crisis professionally, be it during an initial encounter with law enforcement or during incarceration, to ensure the
Judy, that's
safety of the
time.
individual.
Judy,
Okay.
that's time.
All right. Thank you very much. That was a partial statement from Mr. Carl Ritchie. Now let's go to the candidate questions and opening statements. Mr. Burke, you have 60 seconds for an opening statement.
Good evening. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum. My name is Rocky Burke, and I'm running for Charleston County Sheriff to continue my years of public service in securing and providing safe environments for all communities in Charleston County, as I have been doing for over 50 years. I have 50 years of public safety experience, all in Charleston County. Charleston County is 1,358 square miles, and I can assure everyone that I have worked every square mile in public safety, law enforcement, fire, and EMS, which is what's needed today, a total collaborative team effort of public safety to provide safe and secure environments to the citizens and communities of Charleston County.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. Mr. Kitchens, your 60-second statement.
Hello, I'm Greg Kitchens. Thank you for this opportunity, ladies. I very prayerfully entered into this sheriff's race. I am a former deputy sheriff with Charleston County. I was a narcotics agent in Georgia for a little while, and I am a graduate of the Citadel. I retired from the Marine Corps Reserves as a colonel a few years ago. I've had deployments in Iraq and Afghanistan. I've even owned a small business here in town. I've raised 2 daughters here, had a wonderful marriage. I lost my wife to cancer just last year. And I have probably the most widely, spread out type of experiences in leadership, in community, and everything else to give me a very different perspective and a very different leadership style for our Charleston County Sheriff's Office. And I fully intend to transform the Charleston County Sheriff's Office into the finest law enforcement agency in South Carolina, bar none. I'm excited about it. And I'm bringing the kind of leadership that most career cops never get to see over from the United States Marine Corps, the finest leadership organization on the planet. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell. And I'm looking forward to answering these questions.
All right. Thank you, sir. Question number 1, we will start with you, Mr. Kitchens. So in perhaps a little more detail, why is it that you want to represent the citizens of Charleston County as sheriff?
I have a real passion for justice and public service. Okay. Kind of done it my whole life. Sometimes the good Lord puts us on the planet to do something. And with me, that is, I have what I like to call the warrior heart. And when I was a deputy, I saw, when I was a narcotics agent in Georgia, traveling through the state, working with police agencies, working with sheriff's offices, working with highway patrol, I realized to my horror that low morale, poor organization, poor leadership was the norm in law enforcement. And I just feel like I can make a difference with all that. Fully staff our agencies, improve the jail to something functional, and give our Jedi Knights, our deputies, our detention officers, a place to work where they can be proud to go to work. And that'll make the people proud of them. And it takes a lot, but it takes the right skill level, and it takes a team. And I realized that I could not run. I feel called to do it. I don't hear you. Audio.
Oh dear, I'm sorry. Okay, thank you, Mr. Kitchen. I appreciate that. Mr. Burke, your first question is with a little more detail. Why do you want to represent the citizens of Charleston County as sheriff?
Well, as I said in my opening statement, I've been doing this for 50 years, all in Charleston County, public safety. I've been responding to bad situations. I have investigated home invasions involving children. I have investigated teenage suicides. I have dealt with a lot of the homeless issues and homeless subjects, mental health issues over the 50 years, and just in the last few years is working with Folly Beach Public Safety. We have a bad problem of gun violence, homelessness, mental health issues, and the substance abuse issues that we all have to address, and going in with a leadership style leading from the front lines to correct the organizational culture present in the sheriff's office today, both in the detention office and in the law enforcement.
All right, thank you, Mr. Burke. To you, once again, Mr. Burke, do you support civilian oversight of law enforcement? And if yes, how would you encourage community participation in that oversight?
Yes, I support that in the proper form, that it's a collaborative effort between the community. And we would have to get all the community outreach groups together and perform a collaborative, frank discussion and come up with the solutions that everybody can live with to correct any what I call organizational dysfunctions in law enforcement activities or in the detention center. Yes, I support civilian oversight.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Kitchens, the same question. Do you support civilian oversight of law enforcement? If yes, how would you encourage community participation?
Ladies, civilian oversight is the American way. I retired from the United States Marine Corps. My top general wore a uniform, but his boss wore a suit, and his boss wore a suit. I believe in civilian oversight. We have it between our free news media, which is the only business that is protected by name in our Constitution, I believe, and our communities themselves, which I think do a better job than they've ever done in paying attention to how our government, especially our local government, is responding to the people. But that has to be a two-way street. I'm big into community policing. I don't think I have time in this question to go too much detail, And of course, the ultimate community oversight, voting. The sheriff answers only to the people. It's one of my favorite things about this job. A sheriff answers to the people. I don't have an administrator telling me this, that, and the other.
Okay.
And I think that's a wonderful thing. Am I out of time?
You are out of time. If you will keep your eye on Karen Healy, she should be the only one besides us, and she'll be sticking those signs up. So
I don't see her at all.
there you go.
I don't see her.
You don't see Karen?
No.
Oh dear.
You start nodding and I'll get the hint. We'll be okay.
Well, it's maybe on the view. Do you see any of us, the rest of us?
I see some people. I don't know.
So,
I'm not too good at this digital world thing. I'm trying.
but at the very top, if you click on view and make
Yeah.
sure that it's toggled to gallery, you should be able to see
Gallery
it.
view. Got it. Okay, we're better.
Okay. Now, can you see Karen?
Hi, Karen.
Good enough. She'll be holding up the signs. That's great. Thank you very much, Kara. Okay, let's go with the third question, and we'll start with you, Mr. Kitchens. If people feel reluctant to go to the sheriff's department to file a complaint, how would you reduce this barrier?
People should feel, you've asked that question as if it is a problem that I haven't already solved, because I'm more of a proactive person. I try to create an environment where people do feel comfortable going to the sheriff's office to file a complaint. And of course, you're not asking too many details there, but various crimes have different hesitancies involved. You have to have a good relationship with your communities. That's the bottom line. And if you've got good relationship with communities, if my communities know my police officer's name, they're more likely to want to talk to him. If my my sheriff's deputies are engaging them on a regular basis, they're more likely to talk to them. That's how we do it. That's the proactive way.
All right, thank you. Mr. Burke, the same question. If people feel reluctant to go to the sheriff's department to file a complaint, how would you reduce this barrier?
Some community meetings with the community, with anybody that can call me and say they want to file a complaint, and I will assure them the ways about going to file a complaint. And if they still reluctant, of course, they'll have my email that they can send an email directly to me if they want to talk to me, and we'll get the process started.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Burke, we're going to turn to you next. Do you support sending juvenile offenders to restorative justice programs or other avenues to divert them from the juvenile justice system and toward new opportunities?
Yes, depending on the charges and what they're charged with. Matter of fact, I took the juvenile arbitration course through Charleston County and learned how that system works. And I think that's a good system. But yes, if we can save a juvenile, and I would like to get to the juveniles earlier in the educational system. But yes, if a juvenile is charged with a crime, yes, I would support restorative justice, such as through the juvenile arbitration program or some other means.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Kitchens, the same question. Do you support sending juvenile offenders to restorative justice programs or other avenues to divert them from the juvenile justice system and toward new opportunities?
Oh, absolutely. Our juvenile justice system is a tough one. It always has been. It's a tough crew to reach, and those kids are essential. And, I'm sure Rocky, like I have, we've seen kids who had rough childhoods, make a lot of bad decisions, and we've seen them rise out of that. And that becomes from the community and everything else. I know that there are a lot of groups that want to go in and talk to these juveniles and they're not currently being allowed to do that. And I'm all about it. Some of these guys have been to prison, and they've been there, and they understand being a knucklehead juvenile a little bit better than some of us would, and they can talk to them in a better way. So I want programs like that. I want to encourage it. Once again, I'm proactive. I want to head this off at the pass as much as possible. All about it. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Kitchens. We're going to start with you again in this next question. Do you support creating an option to handle low-level drug possession with a citation rather than charging and booking individuals? And what do you think is the most effective way to deal with low-level drug offenders?
Low-level drug offenders is exactly what fuels medium-level drug offenders, which is exactly what fuels high-level drug offenders. We have to, as a community, fight drugs at every level to include education, right? I was a narcotics officer. I study these states that legalize and decriminalize things, and I think it's a mistake. I think the quality of life for everybody in those communities goes down when we start doing that. And I think for us to remain a community worth living in, we have to have a very low tolerance for drugs. There's a time for a citation. There's a time for warnings and second chances, and perhaps not putting things on the book. That's where I believe common sense and discretion come in law enforcement. But okay. I'm very like a drug.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Kitchens. Mr. Burke, the same question. Do you support creating an option to handle low-level drug possession with a citation rather than charging and booking individuals? And what do you think is the most effective way to deal with low-level drug offenders?
Depends on what the low-level drug offenders they have, or what you call it, low level. But yes, if in the discretion of the officer that makes the stop on there, that if they can issue a courtesy summons, depending on what the possession of whatever substance they're in possession of, yes, let's do a courtesy summons, come into municipal court, and have alternatives that maybe we can divert them to drug courts, some rehab programs, and other measures to give them some alternative restorative justice. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Burke. We're going to start with you again, Mr. Burke. Change the subject a little bit here. How do you think artificial intelligence can improve law enforcement efficiency and effectiveness? And what concerns do you have about its use?
Yes, ma'am. To be honest with you, I've been doing a lot of studying up on that artificial intelligence. And what I'm finding mostly through the International Chiefs of Police and other law enforcement associations and through the universities about artificial intelligence, that basically in the police services, we already have some forms of artificial intelligence, such as the flock cameras, the LPR readers, camera systems on the streets, also some artificial intelligence mechanism to evaluate data arrest and what have you, to better prepare for them in the future. So yes, I agree with it, but it has to be monitored.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Burke. Mr. Kitchens, the same question. How do you think AI can improve law enforcement efficiency and effectiveness, but what concerns do you have about its use?
While we certainly have to embrace technology to help us in law enforcement, I'm sorry, I'm huge on a human factor. AI could not have written our United States Constitution and our Bill of Rights. I just don't believe it could have. And our Constitution and Bill of Rights are all about people. And when we start letting technology overwhelm us to where we're no longer applying judgment and compassion, and plus you just can only trust technology so far. It's a common sense issue. I believe we have to monitor it carefully. And when in doubt, I'll trust the human factor. Along those lines, I would never allow or recommend anywhere within my county, some machine that writes somebody a ticket and mails it to them when it detects a thing. That we lose the human factor, and it's just wrong.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, we really are going to switch gears with this next question. I'll start with you, Mr. Kitchens. In your opinion, what's the best thing about Charleston County, of course, besides the voters? And where might your constituents see you hanging out?
That's a great question. I love Charleston County. I love this. Has been my home for decades. I went to the Citadel here. What's the best thing? It's the best place in the world. It's one of the reasons I'm running for sheriff. I mean, the Low Country is just so special. I've traveled the whole United States. I've been to all 50 states. I've camped in most states. I've been all over the world. And the culture, we have a culture here that is unique. We have architecture that's unique. We have just such a wonderful blend of things. I live in a diverse neighborhood. And one of the things that inspires me to run for sheriff is I just love the people and the culture and everything about our Low Country, our Charleston County. It's a special place, and I'd be honored to be your sheriff. What was the second part of that question? I only have a few seconds.
You know what? Why don't we make that a totally different question? And I'll give you more time, as I will Mr. Burke as well. Let him answer the question about, in your opinion, Mr. Burke, what's the best thing about Charleston County, of course, besides the voters?
Well, the best thing about Charleston County is I was born in Charleston County and lived here all my life. Except one year we moved to Baton Rouge, Louisiana when I was in the 3rd grade. And when Daddy got us back to Charleston County, he kissed the ground and said, we'll never leave again. So almost 67 years I've been living in Charleston County, born and raised down there at old St. Francis Hospital on Calhoun Street. Growing up in the Charleston County and working through the systems and then getting started in my public safety career, what I admire most is that when people need the public safety services, all public safety services come together and try to solve their problems and give them a better picture of their future.
Okay, all right. So we'll go back to that part 2 of my question. We'll start with you, Mr. Burke. Where might your constituents see you hanging out in this wonderful city of Charleston?
Well, on Sundays, they'll see me hanging out at my church. On the weekdays, while I'm in the sheriff's office there, they'll liable to see me on the road at other churches, at community events, and hanging out with just the community on the street, walking the streets and talking with the community and finding out what their issues are and see if they'll talk to me on there.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Kitchens, where might your constituents see you hanging out?
Well, we have a term in the military called leadership by walking around, or in this county this size, it'll be leadership by driving around. You got to be engaged, and like Rocky, I'm heavily engaged in my own church. I visited other churches on a regular basis. That's for Sunday. And I'm highly involved in lots of community things. I'm past president of the Patriots Point Foundation, for instance. So I do hang out at Patriots Point some. I love history. I'm a Citadel grad. I hang out at the Citadel. I coach pistol over there as a volunteer. I hope to continue to do all those things. But I also will be out seeing how my deputies are doing and talking to the people in the community, finding out what they think of my deputies and if they know their names. And that's just running a good sheriff's office and leadership from the front.
Okay, thank you. So no ice cream shops for the 2 of y'all, I guess, right?
I'm not an ice cream.
I'm just teasing. Okay, we're going to start with closing statements. And again, you have 60 seconds for a closing statement. Mr. Kitchens, we're going to start with you.
I have a vision to transform Charleston County Sheriff's Office into the finest law enforcement agency in South Carolina, bar none. All right. First thing we got to do is change the leadership culture to something positive and something where our Jedi Knights know they've got top cover and are expected to be cops and do a good job. When you do that, you fill the ranks with good people. Good cops want to be part of a great team. They want to be part of a great agency. We are over 50 deputies short on the road. We're 100 jailers short in the jail right now. Those numbers have to change. It's too dangerous otherwise for everybody, to include the citizens, to include the prisoners. And I am excited about doing this. I have a 10-point plan. You can go to my website, kitchensforsheriff.com. Take a look at my policy, my ideas, my plan, my vision. I've run this whole campaign with my vision of what I want to do, and I intend to do it. I've got the leadership to do it. I've got the experience to do it. And I'm excited about doing it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kitchens. Mr. Burke, your 60-second closing statement, please.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I'm running for Charleston County Sheriff because I believe I am the right candidate for the job, the leader that's needed to go into the sheriff's office, to lead from the front lines, to change the organizational culture. And I will be going in with a clear conscience. And what that means, going in with a clear conscience, is that I will be making my decisions and living my professional and personal life as if, so I don't have any regrets that when I meet the judgment chair of my Lord and Savior, that I will have no regrets having a clear conscience and making decisions based on my moral and value system.
Okay, thank you to both candidates, Mr. Burke and Mr. Kitchens. We appreciate you taking the time and efforts to be here tonight. Let me wrap up a little bit with some information to those who will be viewing this in a day or two on the League of Women Voters website, which is lwvcharleston.org. Thank you again for taking the time to hear from our candidates. We encourage you to study the issues carefully, learn about the positions of each candidate, and vote for the candidate of your choice on June 11th. South Carolinians may vote in either primary, but only in one. Early voting for the primaries will be available weekdays from May 28th to June 7th at the Charleston County Board of Elections office in North Charleston, Essex Village Church of Christ in Charleston, and the Wando Library in Mount Pleasant. Many thanks again to our candidates tonight, and I'd also like to thank the League of Women Voter Volunteers for making this event happen. Good evening, everyone, and thank you again.
Good evening. Good evening.
Judy, Karen, Heidi, Rocky, my old buddy.
Yeah, man.
You know, we